Morning, everyone. John Beaudin, Rock History Music. Let me just do a little adjusting. No panicking involved here. Tom Johnston is coming back to the Doobie Brothers, but for now, he's leaving the band, 50th anniversary tour, to go off and get better. I mean, he's 74 years old. I'm even in my 60s. I hear it, man. I can understand it. Knee stuff. Let me just take this off here so we don't deal with. I always forget to turn off my email. Anyway, here's the news that we've got so far. He is. Let me just take this off. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I've got to take off here. Scheduled for surgery, like the band's 50th anniversary tour is going to take them into at least October. And so the rest of the members are going to, Michael McDonald's in the fold, as you know, for their 50th. John McVie and the man who's kept everything together, Patrick Simmons, has been there since the very beginning with Tom. Even when Tom left, the glue that kept the Doobie Brothers, somewhat the Doobie Brothers, even though some people did not like the Michael McDonald years, I had no problem with the Michael McDonald years. He's still in the fold. So you got Patrick Simmons there. Nothing wrong with that at all. But let's recap just a little bit. We're not sure when he's coming back before I get to the history of the band. So he hasn't had his surgery yet. He's going to have it. Doctors said, don't perform. And what do you do when the doctor tells you something? You listen. Johnston was the lead singer of the band since the very, very beginning. This is before Michael McDonald joined the band in the mid-70s. Going back to their debut album from 71, self-titled, Toulouse Street 72, Captain and Me 73. One of the albums that I just love, What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits, came out in 74. Then Stampede, that was the following year. And then something happened with Taking It to the Streets. Even though Tom Johnston was still in the band, he was pictured with the band. There was sort of a new lead singer in 76 with Michael McDonald. And then after that was Living on the Fault Line, which was sort of a misstep. I remember talking to Jeff Skunk Baxter, and he really liked that album. He liked Living on the Fault Line an awful lot, with the Transamerica building from San Francisco right in the water. I remember going to the Transamerican building in San Francisco and going, I want to go touch that building. Minute by Minute was their biggest album in 1978, of course. Everything blew up then. The naysayers, some of them still hated the band for switching lead singers, but Tom got sick and he had to leave. He released a self-titled solo album. One Step Closer came out after that in 1980, and I love that album, by the way. Cornelius Bumpus was on there. May he rest in peace. And great singer. Ronnie Parker, morning, John. Good morning. James Bashirs, good morning, John. Hope everything is doing well. We're doing well. We smelled the forest fires here, even though they're 2 hours away. Rick Tyndall saw this tour last year. Tom is at 74, still sounds awesome. Hope he gets his back. Yeah, well, a back injury at 74 years old, or a back pain or whatever it is. I don't know if it's a disc thing or whatever. It's his business. It's normal. Every year for me personally, I have a knee problem, my right knee. And every year, because I don't walk a lot in the winter, when it comes to I'm getting a cortisone shot in my knee because of the fact that the doctor said, well, it's normal aging. You don't have arthritis. But this stuff, and being a rock star, Tom Johnston on stage on there for over 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I know sometimes they have really long shows, playing guitar, being up, the main guy, even with Michael McDonald. Michael's sitting down, so that helps a little bit. Before Christine McVie died from Fleetwood Mac, they asked her questions like, well, you think you could do it? She said, well, I don't know if I can do it physically, because she had some ailments as well. She says, I don't think I could do another tour. And then she talked about her ex-husband, John, and she says, I don't think he could do it either. So there's some people sometimes when they get out of it, it's hard to come back. I'm releasing it today, part one of our interview with Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues. We talked to John Lodge last year. And Justin's the guy I really wanted to get because he sang most of the hits. And I asked him, I said, well, why do you keep doing it? He said, well, I keep doing it because I enjoy doing it. It's a fun thing. And he said, I don't want to be in a cover band. I don't want to be the only guy in the Moody Blues. Or he says, even with John Lodge, he says, are we really the Moody Blues if it's just us? So that's his take on it. The thing about the Doobie Brothers, and I'm going off topic a little bit here, is you've got John, you've got Michael McDonald, and you got Patrick Simmons. Then you got Tom Johnston. I mean, they were all part of that machine, right? So there you go. Of course, Tom Johnston sang on some of their signature songs, Listen to the Music, Jesus is Just All Right, Long Train Running, China Grove. You know what? A song that wasn't a hit, Eyes of Silver, I always thought that sounded just like, that was so right in the pocket of a Doobie Brothers hit. Remember? And what's the other one? Hold on, let me look it up. There's another one I remember. I lost it. Ronnie Parker. Okay, Rome loves Dan. Tom Johnston had bad luck, health issues in his career. Yes, 1975 and now, yeah. Well, when the doctor tells you to leave and rest, you gotta listen, right? Jamie Hawk, love Doobie Brothers, great music. Tim, hi Tim. Best wishes for Tom. Saw them in London, Ontario last year. It was a killer show. God bless. I hope he gets better. I saw their farewell tour, and I'm going to put my thing up here. When I saw their farewell tour, I could see everyone. I got great pictures of John. He was right up on stage, and a few great pictures with him and Patrick Simmons. But I couldn't see, from where I was sitting, even though I was right in front, I couldn't see Michael McDonald. I couldn't see him at all. He got up a few times and I thought, oh, there he is. That's cool. So I saw the farewell tour, but I've never seen them with Tom. So I want him to come back. TJ, love the Doobies. I mean, when you talk about classic rock and you talk about the pocket of you folks, me, who are on this channel, when you talk about that, you can't have the conversation without mentioning the Doobie Brothers. They're that big. And again, going back to Minute by Minute in 78, I was 18 years old when that came out. And I loved everything Pat Simmons did on that album. I loved the Michael McDonald stuff. I had no problem with that because I was a Steely Dan fan anyway, and Michael played with Steely Dan. And I kind of loved that sound, and I went, well, it's an amalgamation of both sounds. I can take it. When Taking It to the Streets came out, the first one with Michael McDonald, I was okay with that. I don't know. I really like the album a lot. I like Stampede as well, though. The album before that, when they're all on the horses. And Jeff Skunk Baxter told me the only reason he's not on a horse there, it's not because he can't ride a horse. He can, or could back then. He says he wasn't available for the photo shoot, so he wasn't on the cover. Just a little tidbit there. Joe D, my daughter and I saw the Doobie Brothers in Ottawa a few years ago and have tickets for their upcoming Ottawa show. Sending best wishes and speedy recovery. If you're a Canadian, subscribe to Rock History Canada. We're going to be uploading, and the reason we're putting it on that channel, and we have a separate channel, is because there's a lot of Canadian performers who are not known at all in the U.S. So we thought, it'd be like me putting up a lot of unknown artists on this channel, and I went, why would I do that? It would alienate the audience. So you could say, well, they could get to know these bands. Too little, too late. So, by the way, if you're Canadian and if you love Canadian music or subscribe to our Canadian channel, Rock History Canada, because we're ready to upload like crazy. Tons of 80s interviews, like everybody. Corey Hart, we've already put the Gordon Lightfoot up. Luba, Trooper, there's just everyone you can think of. Mitsu even, lots of stuff. Alfred Mosley. Nobody. Prayers to Tom Johnston, Doobies, one of the all-time favorite groups. Hope all your family's well, John. Thank you. You guys are so nice. Thank you. I really appreciate that. The thing that, because of this room, this is actually our bedroom. The thing about this new house that we live, because we're in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We moved to Moncton to be closer to my family. That didn't last long because Shannon's parents, who live in Calgary, needed us more, so we moved back. And it's worked out very, very well. We love our house. But this is an ideal room to do, a really, really great room to get on quickly, even faster in my studio downstairs. We've got a microphone right here. So it's really, really cool. So anyway, if you're just coming on, Tom Johnston of the Doobie Brothers, he's 74 years old, needs back surgery. The Doobie's tour is going into at least October of this year. John McVie's still there. Tom Johnston is out for till he gets his back well. Patrick Simmons is still in the fold. And of course, Michael McDonald is back for their 50th anniversary. So that's okay. Everyone wants him to get better. It'll still be a great show. When I saw them, it was the Michael McDonald farewell tour. I really enjoyed the show. And Patrick Simmons did a lot of stuff. It was great. Patrick Simmons is the glue in this band. I got to interview the guy. So anyway, that's what's going on. Because of this, I think I'll reach out to their management. I'm in contact with their management. And I'll see if I can get Pat on the channel. And we might even do a live thing if we can. I'm counting my chickens here. There you go. So let's read some more comments. Rome loves Dan. That's a good username. The original 1966 Best of the Doobies album is essential 1970s living room and record. Yes, that first one, it's everything's on there, right? And then the second one was a more of the different era, right? Snowman, I saw the Doobie Brothers in Camden, New Jersey last year. Get well soon, Tom. You know, all the comments here are about, you know, caring about this guy, right? Reputation, you've heard me say this many times, reputation is someone else's business, right? You don't decide what your reputation is. So some people try in social media, people try to, like the Kardashians thing, half the people hate them, the other half like them. They're polarizing figures. Tom Johnston's not a guy like that. You know, most people, even if they're not Doobie Brothers fans, they'll tip the hat to the Doobies. They've earned that reputation. When you're coming on here and you're all talking, and not that I want to tell you how you feel, you're talking about you care to write down, I hope you get well. I'm overstating the obvious, but really, this guy's earned it. He did the work. He got in the room. People love him for that reason. And when he's hurt, you care, right? Because he's given us so much. And he's still, the guys, I saw a picture of them this morning. I went, yeah, they're getting older. Yeah, all of us are, right? And like Justin Hayward just told me of the Doobie Brothers, he says, you know, it's all about the music. And I enjoy doing the music. I enjoy my band. And it's coming up, part one's coming up today. And for Patreon people, they'll get a chance to hear the whole interview. And if you want to join our Patreon, please do. Always support the channel. If you love us, please, you know. But Justin Hayward said, he says, why do I do it? Because it's fun. I don't want to sit around home and do nothing. And if you've ever been on stage, a lot of people say this. If you've ever been on stage, you'll understand. So getting back to Tom Johnston, he'll be back as soon as he can get back. There's no timeline. He wrote here, and this is from one of my favorite sites. Always check out Ultimate Classic Rock. They use my stuff a lot. They're a great site, well written. Love these. They're my favorite site. They're my go-to site, Ultimate Classic Rock. I hope for a speedy recovery. I can't wait to get back on the road and continue doing what I love, he said in a statement. I would like to thank Pat, Michael, and John and the entire Doobie Brothers band for covering for me while I'm recovering from back surgery. I'm sure they will bring it every night as they always do. You know, he's a beautiful cat, man. You know, his daughter's a talented singer as well. So we hope that he gets back soon. I've got a few comments I want to read. We always want to read every one of your comments. And someone asked me in the last live broadcast, are you going to do any more live interviews? We'd like to. I think it'd be a good thing. We'd like to get Henry Gross back on because he's such a character. You know, the guy who sang Shannon and Springtime Mama. His music after that is so good. It's unbelievable. All his new music is amazing. Like, look him up on Spotify, at the very least. His new stuff is so strong. Can't believe it. Anyway, he comes on here sometimes and just guests. Mystical Analytics 60, Jeff, Jimmy Hawk. What is wrong with his back exactly? They haven't said. And, you know, we're not going to pry there. Rome Loves Dan says, you're talking to each other. Betty Richmond, I'm so glad to get to see them a few years ago, even though Michael McDonald. Okay, best wishes for Tom. Alex, hey, from Boston. Thanks for the update. Thanks, Alex. Brian Mayerhofer, What in the world is China Grove about? Great vocals. I don't know. I've never looked it up. Getting back to the Justin Hayward, when I asked him about Nights in White Satin, he says, I don't really know what it's about. And sometimes he said, I say this because it's coming out today. He said, sometimes I make things up and I realize, oh, wait a minute, I just made that up. He says, I don't know what Nights in White Satin. He says, yeah, people say that a girl gave me satin sheets. He says, it's about so many different things. And when he brought it into the studio, all the guys said, yeah, it's okay. Then Mr. Pinder with his new Mellotron, I think it was, and he just did and all of a sudden they thought, hey, you got something there. Well, thanks, Mike Pinder. Snowman, the Doobie Brothers are part of our lives. And they don't even know us. Snowman, really well said. I never looked at it from that perspective. But it's true. I mean, I'm not reporting anybody died. Even though the Doobie Brothers have lost a few people, lost a few drummers. So yeah, Jimmy, we don't know what's wrong with his back, but I'm glad he's going to be okay. You know what I mean? Anytime someone of like for instance, I hate dentists, and I wanted to go under for my exam that I have this week. I thought, can't I go someplace where they put me under, because it's such a traumatic thing for me, and it's gotten worse through the years. Sometimes they say you get more anxiety as you get older. I don't really have. I mean, I suffer from depression and a little anxiety, but that is hard for me. I get it done. It's okay. I have gagging reflex, but I mention this for a reason. The first thing my wife said, Shannon, she says, well, do you really want to go under? Do you want to, that's not good. As the older you get, you don't want to go under. And I went, I don't know. I've got a good heart. So whenever someone's going through surgery, they go under when you're older, right? So I always think of stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't know why I said that. Just thought I'd share that with you. John's dental history on Rock History Music. So, TJ, thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Thanks, TJ. Mystical Analytics 60. Next time you talk to Skunk, bring up the 50th tour. I asked him if he'd come back with the Doobie Brothers, and he said, yeah. He said, as the situation was right, would you rejoin the Doobies or Steely Dan? He said, well, Steely Dan's a different animal now. He says, it's the Donald Fagen show, and Walter's gone, and they have musicians, and that's kind of a different thing. So there you go. When I talked to Rich from Kansas, I said, would you invite any of the old members back? And he says, we have an open door policy. If they want to come back, we'd love to have them on stage with us. I don't know what that would entail, what it would look like, right? I always like bands where they say, and it doesn't mean that's always true. I'm not saying that Rich is not telling the truth, but people like to say that, right? And even Justin Hayward said, I said, are the Doobies done then? Moody's done? Because he calls them the Moody's, the Moody Blues. And he says, well, I don't really know what's going on with the Moody's. He says, I don't really know about the history, or the future, rather. So it's basically him and John Lodge. So JS Kit 92-380 says, best wishes, speedy recovery for Tom. James Bashirs, you get to an age where your body says, really? Wishing Tom a speedy recovery. Bill Knutson, the instructor, Mike Pinder, was actually a Chamberlain. No, was it? Okay. Well, Bill, probably true, but Justin told me it was a Mellotron. JS Kit, China Grove is about a sleepy little town down in San Antonio. Okay. There you go. So anyway, anyone coming on really quickly, Tom's having back surgery. They're on their 50th anniversary going into October at least. Dates with the classic rockers now sometimes change, right? They get longer. Even this morning, it was reported, as was reported before, Elton John, for instance, said that after his big farewell, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour, farewell thing, he will do probably odd dates here and there. And everyone says that. Davey Johnston, even told me the same thing. He said, "Oh, there'll probably be other shows after, right?" So, oh, hold on a second. I've got to Okay, Shan, I can hear you on. Hold on. We have an autistic daughter, and she has seizures, and that was Shannon waking up our daughter. But we have to listen to her all the time because she has a grand mal seizures, so we have to be on her. Anyway, so Tom wrote, "I hope for a speedy recovery and can't wait to get back on the road and continue doing what I love. I would like to thank Pat, Michael, and John, the entire Doobie Brothers band, for covering for me while I recover from back surgery. I'm sure they will bring it every single night as they always do." And that's really nice. And of course, to go a brief history here, and you guys know this already, but when I went into the journalism part of broadcasting 40 years ago, I had this old instructor named Mel Stevenson. He was a grumpy guy. And once he looked at me and he said, "You're not the brightest bulb, are you?" Which I'm going, well, even if you think that, why would you say that to me? I'm your student. I'm paying you money. But he was hard on everybody, and he would call us names. He was like that. He was really hard. But he taught me back then. He says, never assume when you're saying something that the audience knows everything about this band. A lot of people are fair weather music fans, or if it's politics, you can't assume you got to explain a little bit. But sometimes it's fun to talk about the history. So Johnston was on their big 5 albums in the beginning. The Doobie Brothers from 71, Toulouse Street 72, the following year Captain and Me, What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits 74. And then the final one where he shared it with Patrick Simmons was Stampede. He was on Taking It to the Streets, but they had a new guy in town because Tom got sick. He did release a solo album, though, self-titled. Michael McDonald in 76 with Taking It to the Streets. Living on the Fault Line, which was sort of didn't have a hit single in 77. Their biggest, of course, after that, they came back with a vengeance, Minute by Minute in 78. I was 18 years old. I don't know how old you were, but it was it was pretty big. One Step Closer, then the live album One Step Closer came out in 1980. I really like it. Cornelius Bumpus, the sax guy, played keys. He died. He actually had a heart attack on an airplane, and we lost him. Johnston came back in 1989 with Brotherhood, which was released in, Cycles, 89. Brotherhood in 91. Sibling Rivalry, 2000. World Gone Crazy, 2010. Southbound, 4 years later, and Liberté 2021. Of course, he sings lead on Listen to the Music, Jesus Is Just All Right. I'm just naming a few. Long Train Running, China Grove. I'll read some comments, and then we're going to say, I'm going to go put that Justin Hayward of the Moody Blues interview up. Mystical Analyst, I don't understand the Doobie Brothers always had an open door policy. Once a Doobie is always a Doobie. Yep, they were always saying that Michael McDonald was an honorary member. Excuse me, sorry. They always said that. It was a constant thing they said, and yet he could always come back, right? Hey, Shane McCrae, how you doing, buddy? Morning, John. Shane, I'll text you after. We got to have coffee. JS Kit says, thank you, John, for the update. Always appreciate it. Ace Bailey, best wishes, fast healing. Love the Doobie Brothers. Mystical says, sibling rivalry. Mystical says, such an underrated album. Oh, they're in talk for a new album. James Bashir. Okay, guys. Anyway, he'll be back. Back surgery changes from one person to the next. We've all known, because people who watch this channel are of a certain age most of the time. Not that I want to alienate anyone too young that listens to this channel. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You're one of a kind. But Bill says, FYI, John, Mike Pender's account, I stand corrected. Okay, no problem. About Nights in White Satin and the keyboard that he used. That goes, which is in our interview. So, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you guys out there. Support the channel. There are links in the description of every one of our videos. And so much coming up. We're so far behind in interviews. But Yeah, I've got a few interviews coming up that I've always wanted to get, but they're not secured yet. So I'm not going to say it because sometimes you count chickens, bad things happen. Tom Johnston, get well soon. Take care of yourself. Love you guys. John Beaudin, Rock History Music.